Hello everyone. If you remember, Attila built this Dennerle Nano Tank 55 a few months ago, which was our Christmas special video. If you haven't, go check that out. The tank turned out so good that we've actually sold everything that was inside. So that now lives at the client's home. Tank became empty. I need to rebuild it. Now, before I start the actual build, I want to talk about some exciting news concerning the Dennerle Nano Tank lineup. So, the whole lineup for the Dennerle aquariums have been upgraded. So, all the nano cubes, all the nano tanks, they come with a new type of light, which is a daytime light. The soils have been varied and so on. But the most exciting thing about this, for me, is the two new sizes of nano tank, the 25 and the 60. These are perfect aquascaping sizes for aquariums. I never had too good a relationship with the nano cubes. I don't like to build in cubes. And for the nano tanks, the size was always a bit awkward. But these ones, they are long, deep, and not too high. So the perfect ratios for building proper aquascapes. They are available as empty aquariums. Some of them are available as Optivite empty aquariums. And then you have the basic set, which only has the technical stuff, filter, light, and so on. And the complete set with the soil inside. And also, there are a few goodies like shrimp food and water conditioner and stuff like that. If it was just up to me, I would use this for today, the new 60, because of the size, because I love that. But sadly, the cabinet I have for this build is not big enough. But yeah, if I were to buy one of these today, it would be the 60. And what I want to show you today is a tank that you can actually build from a set like this as it comes. To do that, I'm actually going back to one of my nemesis, biggest challenge, whatever you want to call it, is the Utricularia, the 50-50 plant. It either works out or it doesn't. Let's see how it goes this time. So let's do the actual build. So we are back with the Nano Tank 55. It's gonna be my partner for today. I want to use a new type of hardscape, and all this goes back. You guys always say, and you always see that I'm building iwagumis. For some reason, a YouTube guys told me that I haven't built an iwagumi for some time and I should do it again. I'm quite confused, but yeah, let's do an iwagumi. I'm not gonna complain about it. And that's how I got to using the Utricularia, because this is the perfect chance to do it. And I want to introduce you to a new type of hardscape, which you've already seen on our channel, especially on our hardscape detailing video a few weeks ago, the Turly Stone, which is kind of similar to Frodo Stone, but it's much easier to find matching pieces in color and texture. I think it's going to be perfect for an iwagumi layout in such a tank. And also it's important that because of the Utricularia, I'm not going to use active soil. I'm going to use some substrate because I want to use other plants as well that's going to need nutrients from their roots or through their roots. So I'm going to use the deponate mix as my substrate, because this is what you get if you buy the complete set. That goes on the bottom. I'm going to try to keep it in the middle because that's where I'm going to have other plants than Utricularia, and Utricularia doesn't need a substrate. Top of that goes the quartz gravel. This is 10 kilos. I think it's going to be a bit too much, but the 5 wouldn't be enough. Look what I've just found. I just cleared out all my aquascaping stuff from home, and I just realized that I have the limited edition tools. Look at these, you can't get these anymore. I'm going to use these from now on. These shouldn't be kept in a cabinet. The covering layer is going to be the normal quartz gravel, the black one from Dennerle. It should be fine for the Utricularia. I'm going to try to give it the best chance to actually work this time. But I won't be able to do crazy elevation towards the back. So I need to keep that in mind while doing the hardscape. That's quite thin, but for now it should be fine for placing the rocks, and then I'm going to add some more gravel. So, here is my main stone. This is really heavy. This one is heavier than usual, so for the same size, like a Turly Stone would be much lighter than this. Probably I need to elevate this soil here and put a small rock behind. I like this stone more and more. Haven't really worked with it so far. This is the first time I'm working with this stone as an iwagumi, and I think this can be perfectly used for like mountainscape iwagumi, like what Thomas said, the European style iwagumi. It can also be very well used for classic iwagumi, which this one is more the classic one. It's a bit in between the two, but more towards the classic. We always talk about the rule of not using even numbers of stones in iwagumi, and these situations are quite a challenge. If I look at strictly the number of stones at the moment, it's 5. But these two are quite connected and they act as one. So if I look at it now, it looks like I'm having even numbers. Instantly, it feels like the tank has more symmetry than it should. Obviously, it's not symmetrical, but like the balance of the tank is not correct now. So, big question, remove this or add one more? And here it is. The answer has been found. What you need to be careful of with this type of stone is it's quite easy to overdo it. And if you look at my dream iwagumi layout video, you can see that the secondary stone is almost as big as the main stone. But in here, this one is a lot smaller than this one. The reason for it is if I were to have a big stone like this as my secondary, with the same amount of texture as I already have going on, that would be too much. When you are trying to balance out a scape, especially an iwagumi scape, you're trying to go for balance, the weight or the size of the stone doesn't only come from the actual size. The texture, the busyness matters as well. But now I'm going with this one and instead elevating the back and adding another smaller stone. So these two balance out the big one together. Otherwise it would be too busy. Hardscape is done. That was quick, wasn't it? So I'm going to start planting soon. Make the gravel wet, which I'm not sure if this does anything, to be honest. It's not active soil. It's going to be a pain to plant into anyway, because the small gravel bit's going to stick to my pincet, I believe. I actually don't know if it's easier to do it and it's dry. It's been ages since I've planted into gravel, so we'll see. Now that I made the rocks wet, you can actually see that there is a slight color difference in between the rocks, just like we have it with the Pressurized stone. This one is much more bluish and this is brownish and the rest are like mixed. I'm really hoping that we're gonna have the same effect as we do with the Pressurized stone, that over time, with the biofilm developing on the rocks, this is gonna go away and all the rocks gonna look the same. Let's do what I'm always afraid of. Let's plant some Utricularia. If you want to try this plant, go look online, read, see the 95 different foolproof methods to keep this plant alive. Something must be true about it. My experience is it doesn't matter what we try from those solutions, it's still a 50-50. What is almost certain is the biggest enemy of this plant is the ammonia spikes when you're starting a new aquarium with active soil, which is perfectly normal to happen, but this plant really doesn't tolerate that. So that's why I'm using gravel and inert soil to avoid that ammonia spike. We'll see if it works or not this time. Well, I'm just here to comment.
You're the best. I love how you make, how you arrange those stones.
Aaron, one of our cameramen, YouTube staff master, is saying that he's been working at Green Aqua for 5 years and still has no idea what inert means. And I say it's an inert soil or an inert hardscape, whatever. So, if you are just as bad in English as he is, it means that it doesn't change water parameters. That's all. For example, an active soil is not inert because it can change and stabilize and affect your pH, your water hardness. Today, Aaron has learned something. I hope you guys did as well. All that said, with the 50-50 and so on, and this method, what I'm doing now with the inert soil, I want to be clear that I've done this before and it has worked before. If the video ends in about 3 minutes from now and you don't see any final pictures of the tank, then it didn't work this time. It's very tedious work to plant this plant. We always recommend to take these apart to smallest pieces possible, even if you're planting Monte Carlo or Eleucharis or whatever. The smaller parts you take it apart to, the more growth you're gonna have. But this one, since it doesn't really have any roots and you need to plant them quite deep, these float quite easily. So if I put two big pieces together, then the chances of floating are much higher. That's why I'm going so slow. Another interesting thing about the Utricularia and the 50-50 rules, we've had it multiple times happening that the Utricularia died out. It wasn't a success, but we didn't want to take apart the tank. We have replanted its place with something else, like Glossostigma or Monte Carlo or whatever. And after some time, the Utricularia actually comes back and it just starts to grow from nothing, from whatever was left over within the soil. ADA actually told us that they are doing this on purpose sometimes. Whenever they're starting a tank with Utricularia, they plant, I believe, mainly Glossostigma next to it. So in the beginning of the life of the tank, the Glossostigma starts to grow very nicely, the Utricularia almost dies out, and after a few months it actually turns the other way around. This bit in the middle has become quite steep, to be honest. I'm a bit worried about it because gravel doesn't really hold its shape as active soil does, but hopefully the two stones holding most of it should be fine. If not, then the whole thing can collapse on fill up. Utricularia is done. This is a nightmare to plant. Now I have two more types of plants. One of them is the good old Eleucharis fascicularis, which I use a lot. It's a perfect addition to any classic iwagumi. So I'm going to plant this around the rocks and onto the edges. And then I have Vallisneria nana, which don't think I have ever used before. It goes behind the main stone. I try to stay away from Vallisneria types because they start to run around your tank like crazy. Nana is not so bad and it's a very good option for a thinner grass that holds up nicely. It's in between Eleucharis and Cyperus for the thickness of the leaves. So perfect for this size of aquarium. The Cyperus would be way too thick for this. I believe if things were to go wrong with this setup and the Utricularia doesn't want to do what I want it to do, grow and live, I think we can easily swap it with some different type of carpeting plant and it would still work. I could easily imagine this layout with Monte Carlo in the front or Eleucharis pusilla as usual, maybe Glossostigma, but it would be quite difficult to trim it because on the side here it would be a challenge and Glossostigma needs to be trimmed regularly to look nice. But if I want to keep the promise from the beginning that I'm building something that you can do with the set as it comes, with the light that it comes with and so on, Marsilea crenata would be the best for replacement. Now that is just as difficult to plant as this one is, because you need to plant a lot, you need to plant it dense, and you need to plant it in small pieces. But yeah, that would be a perfect replacement if this doesn't work out. If it works out or not, you're gonna see it in a few seconds. That's it for the build itself. Let's see how it goes in a few weeks. Here we are, 2 weeks after setup instead of the 4 that should be. But next week, YouTube guys are actually on a trip, making something special for you, coming soon. The week after, I'm not here to record this. So not the perfect timing, since the Utricularia is, I believe, on the positive side of the 50-50, because after 2 weeks it's still alive, but obviously it has not covered the ground. So the final shots you're seeing right now are actually shot 2 weeks from now, so 4 weeks after setup. As for the fish, I have something special in here, which is the Sundadanio rubellus, a fish we've never had before, a fish I've never seen before, and a fish that we got or received by accident, actually. But I love it. It looks really cool. Sort of like a bigger sized and slightly darker Boraras brigitte. That's how I could describe it. The rest is fine, actually. Everything is growing. Yeah, not much more I can say at this stage. If you prefer the cube version of these Dennerle tanks, then we have a bunch of videos. My favorite is over here. You can go check that out as well. See you next time. Goodbye.